Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you guys a video, but before I start the video, I want to make an announcement that I am moving. Yes, that's right, I'm moving to a new house, a new place on November 1st, 2015. I think is the date. I think it actually is the date. It might be spot on. Um, so what's today's date? So it's September 16th, 2015. About a couple months left that I'll be in this house. So, you know, once this area will never be seen again after next month. Um, and this is kind of sad because I've lived in this house pretty much since um, I was 2, and I'm gonna be out of here. I won't be living here. I've been here since I was 2. It's gonna feel weird not living here. It's gonna feel weird not living in Halifax anymore. So I figured I'd make that announcement so that way when you see me in a new area, you don't wonder why. Um, and I'm actually gonna do something fun throughout the next few videos. I'm gonna film it in every room in the house, like the laundry room, my room, obviously. I'm gonna try to do that before we leave. And since we're gonna be unpacking, um, like packing my stuff anyways, I'm gonna make a wrestling collection again, like I did back in 2012 when I went to my 100th video. I figured I was gonna wait for my 1000th video, but I figured instead of doing that, I will just do it before we move, so that way everything won't be packed and I won't have to do it all randomly. So that's how things are gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this read aloud series before then, so we're gonna have to wait with that. But now that I've made that announcement, I'll probably make it, throughout the videos. I'm gonna finish my read aloud series. I'm reading this book. If nobody knows by now, is it upside? Yeah, it's upside down. I'm reading the WWE Championship, a look back at the rich history of the WWE Championship read aloud series. It was written by Kevin Sullivan. I've been reading this, and if you want to check out the other past read aloud series for this book, you can click right up here because you kind of have to click on those videos and check them out to know what's been going on in the book, because you can't just click on this video without seeing the other ones, because I don't talk about what happened in the other ones. Unless you're a wrestling fan and you already know what happens, then that's fine. And then there's some other channels you can check out too. You can check out my channel down below. You can click down below to subscribe to me and get future content on this channel. That's going to be a lot of fun. You can check out the Massasoit Wrestling Corner down here. We're going to be posting a video this Friday on, I have to check the date, September 18th, 2015. We're going to be posting a video. It's usually going to be around 2 o'clock. We're going to be doing a video around that time. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's hosted by me, James the Heatman Hebert, and Ori Dre. And we have some other people make appearances on the show, so that should be a lot of fun. And you can check that out down below. And James the Heatman Hebert has 2 other YouTube channels you can check out. You can check out his YouTube channel, James Hebert, over here. He makes a lot of custom Titantrons of professional wrestlers, and he does a lot of voiceovers for music and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's awesome. And then over here, you can check out his other channel, Weymouth Youth Wrestling, where he's having a 32-man tournament to crown the very first ever WYW champion. And I'm one of those people in that tournament, and I'm going to win the whole thing and become the first ever WYW champion. That should be a lot of fun. And 2 other channels you can click somewhere to check that out is Owen the Talkinator. You can check that out. That's my non-wrestling YouTube video where I post non-wrestling things. I'm going to be posting a video on there this Friday. And then CM Brothers somewhere along here. I'm going to try to post a video on that pretty soon. And that's where I talk about both wrestling and non-wrestling things. So now that I've plugged all the stuff, let's get to this book. I'm going to be reading another chapter. I don't really know what it's called because I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to find it. Okay. This is the right chapter. Chapter 7. And you can see a picture of Hulk Hogan right here, but this book was written in 2010, I believe. So obviously Hulk Hogan's history is going to be in this book. This was before they erased him from the company. So technically, to the company, this chapter as if it's not there. But this chapter is called Hulkamania. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to read it to you. One, if you don't know what that is, you shouldn't even be a wrestling fan. Because if there was no Hulkamania, there would be no WWE today. So just want to let you know that. So let's get... let me start reading this part of the book. Many of today's fan... Hold on, I screwed up. Many of today's fans recognize Hulk Hogan as the Babe Ruth of WWE. The superstar who helped revolutionize sports entertainment and turn it into the global phenomenon it is today. Like I just said, that's pretty true. But that success didn't come overnight to the Hulkster. In fact, he spent many years stumbling before finally perfecting his persona in the mid-1980s. Following several lackluster years on the independent scene during the late 1970s, Terry the Hulk Boulder considering quitting altogether to go on the docks. No, to work on the docks, sorry. Which I actually just can't believe, because I guess wrestling wasn't going as he planned. And then it says, before he was able to hang up his boots for good, however, legendary wrestler Terry Funk urged him to give Vince McMahon Sr. a call. So technically, if Terry Funk didn't do that, we wouldn't have Hulkamania. So technically, I guess Terry Funk is the reason Hulkamania exists, but let's continue. Headed into the conversation, the 6'8" superstar had very little intention of going to work for McMahon. But by the end of the call, the persistent promoter convinced Hulk to pack up and leave Tampa for the bright lights of New York and WWE. When he arrived, McMahon dropped Terry Boulder from his name and added the surname Hogan. This added some Irish to WWE's globalized roster, which also included Italians Bruno Sammartino, Poles Ivan Putski, Native Americans Chief Jay Strongbow, and Latinos Pedro Morales. So they were trying to do some sort of where they went across the national globe and stuff like that, which I thought made sense. Working as a villain, Hogan saw his career begin to take off, especially after competing against the legendary Andre the Giant and spending some time in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is still around today. And it says a Japanese-based promotion McMahon worked with on a regular basis, which isn't the case anymore. He became so popular, in fact, that Hollywood came calling, looking for an oversized athlete to play the role of Thunder Lips in Rocky II. Sylvester Stallone asked the Hulkster if he would be interested. An excited Hogan agreed and went off to tell McMahon the news. And this is the conversation. But that's pretty cool that Hogan got offered to be in that movie, because that was probably a big deal for Hogan. And Hogan, was working as that villainous heel. And this was just a big break for Hulk Hogan right here. This was when he started pushing. And then he went to New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I think that's cool. If you leave to do the Rocky movie, you'll never work for this company again, McMahon said, according to the 2002 autobiography, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I guess I can understand that, because they want to push him when they're just going to leave and do that movie. I wish that was like that nowadays in WWE, but that's not the case. But yeah, I'm glad, because it was probably a best business move. McMahon had plans for Hogan that conflicted with the movie's shooting schedule, but the starry-eyed superstar did the film anyway. And as promised, after his 10 days of shooting wrapped, he was left without a job. An unemployed Hogan questioned if he would ever set foot inside a ring again. Then, in an act of desperation, he sent a promotional photo from the movie to American Wrestling Association promoter Vern Gagne. And American Wrestling Association, abbreviated as AWA. But yeah, so I guess technically, if that didn't happen, Hulk Hogan might have never gone to AWA. But let's see what happened to Hulk Hogan. Let's see if he survived in AWA. The AWA was interested in Hogan and made his debut in 1981. Over the next few years, he experienced great success and even greater frustration. The wins were easy to come by for Hogan. It was behind-the-scenes politics that angered him. According to Hogan, Gagne demanded a percentage of the money that Hulkster was making from his frequent trips to Japan. Gagne also began selling T-shirts with Hogan's likeness on them, without giving the superstar a portion of the profits. On top of all this, Hogan claims Gagne was pushing his daughter Kathy on him, with the hope that she could prevent him from leaving the AWA. So it sounds like Vern Gagne wasn't being a good boss to Hogan. I can understand that because pretty much I think Hogan wanted to leave, and he said, "Well, you gotta do this for your daughter," so you pretty much would push him to stay, and then he wouldn't give him the profits that he thought he deserved for the T-shirt sales, so I can understand why he left. But there could be two sides of the story. Maybe Vern Gagne has a different side of the story. We don't really know. By 1983, Hogan had enough of the politics, so when WWE came calling again, he jumped at the opportunity. By this time, Vince McMahon Jr. Was in charge, and he was looking for a charismatic big man to help him lead his regional company towards its goal of national, then global dominance. And that was a good move by Vince McMahon, which you're gonna find out why as I continue to read. But you guys should already know. But you guys, if you don't know, you will find out why. But yeah, I think Hogan if you know what happens, Hogan definitely made the right choice to jump back to, at that time, WWF. I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Vince McMahon Jr. is who won the company nowadays. Now he's known as that's Vincent Kennedy McMahon. If you guys didn't know that. Hogan's sudden departure from the AWA greatly angered Gagne. He knew that with the Hulkster in the fold, WWE's chances of expanding into his Minnesota territory and beyond just increased exponentially. But he wasn't going to sit ideally by and let McMahon overtake his territory. Instead, when he found out that the Iron Sheik was going to defend his title against Hogan, he came up with a plan. My coach, Mr. Vern Gagne, no, hold on, let me read that again. By the way, but Vern Gagne should be concerned because if he had done business right with Hulk Hogan, he would have stayed with AWA, and WWE might not even be around today. We're not really sure. But this is the next thing. My coach, Mr. Vern Gagne, called me before my match with Mr. Hulk Hogan, recalls the Iron Sheik, regarding his January 1984 title defense. He said to me, "My company is going to go down now that Hulk Hogan is in WWE," but he didn't say WWE at the time. It's like in parentheses. "Do me a favor because I am going to go bankrupt. Don't drop the belt to Hogan. Instead, break his legs and come back home to Minnesota. I will give you $100,000. That's actually a pretty big gamble. Obviously Vern Gagne doesn't want to lose the territory. He wants to protect his company, so I understand doing what he did. And I guess the only way to do that was if Hogan doesn't get the title, because I bet they knew if Hogan gets the title, they're going to instantly make him into a star. He obviously tried to bribe the Iron Sheik to do it, so let's see what happened. But the Sheik never thought twice about taking the money. It didn't matter if it was $100,000 or $100 million. I have too much respect for WWE. It would have been very easy for me to break Hulk Hogan's legs, but I'm a businessman." And obviously he knew that it was right for business for Hogan to possibly win the title or possibly not win the title. But let's continue reading. Instead, the Sheik marched into McMahon. It's supposed to say McMahon. No, wait, hold on, because I read it wrong. Let me go again. Instead, the Sheik marched into the McMahon office at Madison Square Garden and told both Senior and Junior the news. According to the Sheik, a very appreciative McMahon Sr. hugged the WWE champion and told him how much he appreciated his loyalty. Which is because it's true, because he could have just taken the money and just be out of there. Could have just broken Hogan's legs and completely ruined him. But, it showed how loyal the Iron Sheik was to the WWF. So he made the right choice. God bless him, says the Iron Sheik of Vince McMahon Sr. He was a great promoter for me, and it was a huge honor to work for him. He was a good man. Filled with pride for his company, the Iron Sheik entered the ring at MSG, prepared to defend his WWE Championship against newcomer Hogan. Unfortunately for the Sheik, destiny was not on his side this night. And there's a picture of Iron Sheik in the match against Hulk Hogan. The Hulkster destroyed the champ in less than 6 minutes to capture the WWE title. After the match, the Sheik walked into Hogan's locker room to fill him in on Gagne's failed hit. He hugged me and he kissed me, recalls the Iron Sheik. He said to me, "Sheik baby, I owe you one." But he forgot all about it later on. Despite his superior wrestling skills, the Iron Sheik failed to reach full main event status again, something he blames on the American hostage criticized in Iran. I was the hardest thing in the Big Apple. I was the hardest human being on the earth, boosts the Sheik. I was rare because I was a shooter and All-American 3-time AAU champion. I don't know what AAU stands for, so I sold out everywhere if not for the hostage situation. I would have been on top of the card longer, but a lot of people threatened me and wanted to kill me. People waited outside the arena. WWE had to bring me down because people threatened to damage me. I think if not for the hostage situation, probably I'd be champion longer. So, let me just kind of talk about this real quick. So, the Iron Sheik made the right choice. They have business go down the way he did by having Hulk Hogan win the WWF Championship at that time. Because if that didn't happen, Hulk Hogan would never have been probably the star that he is. Maybe eventually he would be, but that's like the time he was to pull the trigger. I think that was like the right moment to pull the trigger with Hulk Hogan, to give him the championship, and make him the big baby face of the 80s and the big face of the 80s and stuff like that. And Iron Sheik made the right call. And the WWF at that time made the right call to take the title off the Iron Sheik, because obviously he was getting hated and riots and all that stuff. So sometimes it is the fans that, do... How can I explain this? Like I'm saying, sometimes it is the fans that do get in the way of people being stars, like the Iron Sheik, because the Iron Sheik was that hot heel, but all the fans hated him so much, and they rioted against him. But that's what made the Iron Sheik a good heel. The Iron Sheik had his time at the top. I think he did fine, and just think about it. If the Iron Sheik had taken that money from Vern Gagne, Hulk Hogan probably wouldn't even be a Thin in WWE ever. Even though technically he isn't a Thin in WWE now, but he probably never would be a Thin, and WWE itself wouldn't be a Thin. So, let's just think about it. If it wasn't for Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan would have never been a star. So, that's how it is. So, let's continue. While the Iron Sheik While the Iron Sheik slipped down to mid-card level, Hogan set sail on one of the most influential periods in sports entertainment history. Within months, WWE became the hottest ticket in whatever town they went to, and not just with the fans, but celebrities too. It wasn't uncommon to see Sean Connery or Regis Philippine or Donald Trump enjoying a WWE event from the front row. WWE even won over Grammy-winning... Let me say that again. WWE even won over Grammy Award-winning Best New Artist Cyndi Lauper, who took her fandom to a whole new level when she became the manager of female wrestler Wendy Richter. As a result of the celebrity involvement, the false pretense that wrestling was only low culture began to disappear. Um, Suddenly, being a WWE fan became a vogue. I think that says. I just screwed up my words like a lot in that paragraph. I'm just gonna kind of paraphrase what I just read. Pretty much, Hulk Hogan winning that title. Pretty much, everybody loved wrestling at that point. Everybody thought it was cool to like wrestling because before everybody just kind of hated on wrestling. Um, but people, celebrities like Cyndi Lauper, Donald Trump, people like Donald Trump started to like wrestling. Everybody thought wrestling was cool. Nobody thought it was bland or anything like that. So putting that title on Hulk Hogan really elevated the WWF at that time. So let's continue. Even Sports Illustrated stood up and took notice. The then leader in sports journalism featured Hulk Hogan on the cover in April 1985, the first time ever for an active wrestler. That's pretty cool for Hogan right there. With Hulk Hogan as champion, WWE kept getting hotter. After a year of selling out every arena they played, McMahon decided he needed a marquee event where he could showcase WWE to an entire nation watching on closed circuit television. He dubbed the event WrestleMania. And this is how WrestleMania was created. So let's talk about it. Nearly 3 decades later, WrestleMania has solidified, I think that says, itself as the crown jewel of sports entertainment. In 1985, however, the event proved to be a financial risk. And this is Hulk Hogan, a picture of Hulk Hogan with Virgil, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Andre the Giant. And you're going to find out why that picture was there, maybe in this chapter. Oh man, this is just such a long chapter. Between the Malkin, but yeah, this was a huge financial risk. I've talked about this in the True Story of WrestleMania DVD, so I'm not going to give my thoughts too much about it. You can find it up here where I talk about it, and you can find it down there as well. I also talk about it in the Greatest Superstars of All Time in WrestleMania or something. I forget what it's called. So I'm just going to read it. Between the market and celebrity appearance fees, television production, and everything else that went into producing a mega event, McMahon was putting the entire future of his company on the line with this one show. But behind the power of Hulkamania, the event became a resounding success, with Rocky 3's co-star, Mr. T, as his tag team partner. Hogan was able to send the sellout MSG crowd home happy by defeating Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. Over the next several years, so WrestleMania 1 ended up being a success. Then it says, over the next several years, Hogan turned back the game's top names to maintain his firm grasp on the WWE Championship. Cowboy Bob Orton, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Terry Funk, and Don Morocco tried to knock him off his perch, but all failed. He even toppled much larger superstars such as King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 2 and Big John Studd. Hogan was awarded, so Hogan's pretty much just getting over. He's getting like a big push right now, so that's pretty cool for him. Hogan was awarded a gigantic trophy to help celebrate his 3rd straight year as WWE Champion. Around the same time, to celebrate his 15-year undefeated streak, close friend Andre the Giant was also recognized with the trophy, about a considerably smaller one. When Andre was presented with the award, an excited Hulkster came out to celebrate with his buddy. Andre, however, saw Hogan's involvement was an attempt to steal his spotlight, so he walked out mid-ceremony. Which I can understand, because think about it. Andre the Giant was undefeated for 15 years, and he got this small trophy. Hulk Hogan held a championship for 3 years. That's pretty impressive too. But he got like this big trophy. I would think, in my opinion, the most impressive thing is being well, dependent on the circumstances, because he could have been part-time based. But I feel like Andre the Giant was like full-time based. Being undefeated for 15 years is an impressive, showcase. That's impressive. And Andre, if you think about it, should have really gotten the big trophy. I think I've talked about this before, but I figured I'd put it up again. So I can understand. If you think about it, Andre the Giant has every right to be upset. Um, and you could really see it that way. But I feel like Hulk Hogan was just trying to, be friends with Andre the Giant and celebrate with him. So that's how I feel. And then it says Andre's disappearing act during the trophy presentation eventually led to a showdown with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 in front of a record 93,173 screaming fans at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan. Hogan stood eye to chin, I like what they did there, with his former friend awaiting the start of his toughest challenge to date. Andre made the first move, shoving the champ. Hogan quickly responded. And here's the match, by the way. Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan. With a shove of his own, followed by 3 right hands. An overconfident Hulkster then went for a body slam, but Andre's massive frame was too much for the champ to handle, resulted in more than 500 pounds crashing down on Hogan, which is probably what that picture is. The ref immediately dropped to his knees to make what appeared to be the match end in 3 count. Miraculously, though, Hogan was able to lift his shoulder from the mat just as the official was completing the count. The call could have gone either way, but the referee ultimately decided that the match would continue. The decision to go on remains one of the most controversial moments in WWE Championship history. Which obviously, I can understand that. Let's continue. On the trade, I don't know how to say this word. I don't know how to say that word. By his failed body slam attempt, Hogan went for the same move later on in the contest. This time he executed it perfectly, with Andre felt the champ bounce off the ropes and hit the famous leg drop for the win. After the match, tears of joy fell from Hulk Hogan's eyes as he held his title high in celebration. Yeah, that was just a great moment for Hulk Hogan to have that happen at WrestleMania 3. That's like a big moment. And what made the Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant feud so great is it made these pay-per-views like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble was like the first ever pay-per-view, and then Survivor Series, SummerSlam. It was that feud that sold those shows. Also, it drew people in to see this show. I mean, this is probably one of the... I don't know if it's my favorite... It might be one of the greatest WrestleManias in history because Hogan and Andre was a match everybody always wanted to see, and everybody always trashes it because the in-ring components are good. This is a match where it's good not because of the in-ring components, but because of the storyline in the match. Hogan not being able to lift up Andre the Giant, and Andre the Giant, they got a friendship for years, and then Andre the Giant doesn't say it in this book, but Andre the Giant ended up joining forces with Bobby the Brain Heenan, like he brainwashed him. I thought that was a great feud. It's probably one of the greatest feuds in WWE history. But let me continue because the feud wasn't done yet. And it even was kind of Andre the Giant's moment as well because Andre the Giant, this was his final moment. So it was Andre the Giant's moment just as much as it was Hulk Hogan's moment. So let me continue. Despite his epic victory over Andre at WrestleMania 3, Hogan was far from finished with his former friend. Following a disappointing outing against the Giants Survivor Series team on Thanksgiving, the champ agreed to once again defend the title against Andre. This time, however, there was a money-laden twist. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. Since arriving in WWE in 1987, Ted DiBiase was one. What Ted DiBiase, I'm sorry, was on a quest to prove that everybody had a price for the $1 Million Man. He would pluck fans from the audience and make them bark like a dog or shine his shoes just for a few bucks. After a few weeks of picking on fans, DiBiase set his sights higher when he offered Hogan a life-changing sum of money in exchange for the WWE Championship. A few weeks passed with no answer from the Hulkster, leading many to believe that he might actually take the offer. In reality, he was simply toying with DiBiase. His answer was exactly what every Hulkamaniac wanted it to be. Hell no! Which I thought was great. That made Hogan look like a face, and I always liked on Ted DiBiase's character, how he always wanted to buy people out. That was cool. Continuing, the rejection forced DiBiase to come up with a plan. Hold on, I screwed up. The rejection forced DiBiase to come up with Plan B, which consisted of finding a superstar skilled enough to defeat Hogan and immortal enough to turn around and sell the title to the $1 Million Man. DiBiase's target accomplice, Andre the Giant. That whole story was one of the best in history, remembers DiBiase. And there's Hulk Hogan in another match with Andre the Giant. It was the launching point for the $1 Million Man character. Here I am, this over-the-top, arrogant rich guy whose god was money. So the ultimate in arrogance for me was to say, I'm going to go out there and buy the title. I'm not going to win it, of course. All the fans were shocked at the audacity of the $1 Million Man. They said, you can't buy the championship. It's impossible. And I thought that was a great gimmick, because that's like a great heel gimmick. Normally, you would work for the championship and then you'd win it. He was just going to buy it because he had so much money going around. But it was, so let me continue. But it was, and just to make sure, he also bought a referee. Dave Hebner was the assigned official for the Hogan-Andre rematch. But prior to the contest, DiBiase had him abducted and locked in a back room. He then sent out an identical referee whom he had bought off throughout the entire contest. Oh, well, there's a period afterwards. Throughout the entire contest, nobody realized that it wasn't Dave Hebner calling the action. Later in the match, Andre executed a rather pedestrian suplex on Hogan and went for the pin. The Fox, I don't know what that says. Ref dropped to the mat and made the 3 count despite the Hulkster successfully getting his shoulder up off the mat after the 1 count. Hogan immediately jumped to his feet and began protesting with the referee, but it was too late. The championship had already been handed to Andre, marking the end of Hogan's amazing 4-year reign. And that obviously was like the big moment of Hogan. As promised, the Giant gave the gold to DiBiase only moments after being announced as champion. Then, like a group of thieves in the night, the $1 Million Man and his crew ran off, leaving Hogan in the wind to try and make sense of what just happened. A flabbergasted Hulkster finally began to put the pieces together when Dave Hebner, who had freed himself from backstage captivity, ran to the ring and confronted his lookalike.
Oh, hi, sorry.
Anyway, it was at this moment that Hulk realized that DiBiase's camp had bought the referee. Fired with rage, Hogan lifted the evil official and tossed him out of the ring and up the aisle. I ran down and tried to catch the ref, recalls former WWE official Tim White, but the adrenaline took over and Hogan launched him well over our heads. The only thing I could do was look up and wave goodbye. He missed us by about 15 feet, landed on the floor, and broke a couple of ribs. And that was like a great moment in history too, by having Andre, the $1 Million Man, winning. That's just a great heel right there. A great heel fashion. I can't even explain it. More than 15,000 fans walked out of Madison Square Garden in Indianapolis that night with their heads low. The apparent new champ, Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant, however, left with a reason to rejoice. I celebrated that night, says DiBiase. I went out with the guys closest to me. Obviously, Andre was there, and if you went out with Andre, you can guarantee that there would be some drinking going on, because they say Andre the Giant's is the one that's consumed the most alcohol. But what I remember more is the private moment in my hotel room. I remember thinking very much of my dad, wrestling Iron Mike type. Oh, sorry, I read it wrong. I remember thinking very much of my dad, wrestling Iron Mike DiBiase, and missing him, wishing he could be there. Um, sorry, wishing he could be there to see what was going on with his son. I remember opening my bag and pulling out that title. Well, pulling that title out. It took me back to the time when my dad came off the road, and as a kid, I would always open up his bag and air out his shoes and throw his dirty stuff in the laundry. And whenever he had a championship, I would go in the bag and look at the title and think to myself, one day it will be me. And then it was, which is, is a nice moment right there for DiBiase. Actually, it wasn't. Days after Andre handed the title over to DiBiase, WWE President Jack Tunney reviewed the rule book and made the following announcement. And this is the announcement right here. The decision of the referee is always, unfortunately, final. Therefore, Hogan is not the WWE champion. However, it clearly states in the rulebook that in order for a wrestler to be deemed champion, he must either pin the reigning title holder or make him submit. That is the only way a wrestler can become champion. Therefore, unequivocally, I can state that Ted DiBiase is also not the WWE champion. Furthermore, it also clearly states in the rulebook that a reigning champion may at any time in his tenure end his reign by publicly surrendering the title, which is exactly what happened when Andre the Giant presented the championship belt to Ted DiBiase. Therefore, Andre is not the champion either. It is my decision that, to be fair to the last two reigning champions of record, Hogan and Andre, and to furthermore be fair with the number one contenders who have faced either Andre or Hogan as champion, I now declare the title vacant. So pretty much you vacate the title. And we're going to find out what they do with that in the next chapter. But that's the start of Hulk Hogan's career, because there's more. That's Hulk Hogan's reign at the top. A lot of people hated Hogan because he always no-sold people's finishers and he always kicked out of stuff. And I guess I can understand why people hated on it. No one hated on it at the time because there was no YWC or IWC or anything like that. So, now when nobody hates on Hulk Hogan now. And Andre the Giant, it doesn't say it here. I don't know if it's going to say it. After this, Andre the Giant is the shortest WWE champion in history. He only held it for 45 seconds. And now he's the shortest WWE champion in history. And at least, even though Ted DiBiase never held the WWE title, it was a smart plan. And I like the way it was done. And obviously, you can't just win a championship like that. So I can understand. But I thought that was really cool. It really made him a star and really made him into a great heel, I thought. And Hulk Hogan, they just made it to a star. If this never happened, there'd be no WWE. There might be a WWE, but the WWE would not have gotten big. Maybe there wouldn't be a WWE, actually, because the WWE really started to get its success. It was kind of successful before, I know, but they really started to get successful when Hulk Hogan won when Hulk Hogan won the title and became a top star. That's when WWE started to really become successful. And I thought that's cool. And, you know, people who aren't even wrestling fans know who Hulk Hogan is. If you ask them to name a wrestler, right off the bat, they say Hulk Hogan. They know that Hulk Hogan is the wrestler. Everybody knows who Hogan is, so that's just how it feels. And, you know, Hulk Hogan just became the biggest star probably in wrestling. And it was because of the creation of Vince McMahon and also because of Hulk Hogan, too. And obviously, Hulk Hogan, you know, I became the biggest star, you know, and no one's going to really know how to be a big star other than Hulk Hogan. He became the biggest star probably wrestling ever. And that's probably how it's going to stay. So, you know, that's just how I feel about it. That's really all I have to say. Anything else I have to say? No, that's it. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll be back to give you another video at some point in time. And thanks for watching. Talk to you later.